Justin Holm, Holm, just like the champion. Jordan is my brother.
Tiffany. I'm Naomi Williams. We're both his cousins.
Nathan Miller, cousin.
My name is Gabe Holm. Jordan's my cousin.
Mark Waitala. I was Jordan's high school coach for the 6 years that he wrestled for us.
My name is Stacy Skyberg. Jordan and I are very good friends.
Brian Tracy, correctional trades leader. Jordan was one of my employees.
John Day, correctional trades leader.
Leon Nissen ran the commissary / convenience store inside the walls.
This is the Olympic team trials.
The Olympic team trials in Iowa City, Iowa.
This is the culmination
Culmination
of a decade, 2 decades
of all of Jordan's hard work.
super intense training.
Jordan's dreams.
To achieve his dream.
I mean, he's been wanting to make the Olympic team for a really long time.
A dream that Jordan has had that is just turning out to be a phenomenal opportunity for him.
I hope Jordan makes it all the way to the top.
I hope he makes it on the Olympic team and, has all his dreams fulfilled. He deserves it.
Championship. Pretty excited about it, too. I can see it.
So tell me about the wig.
The wig is just, identifying with the man. If you've seen pictures of him, then you kind of immediately know this is the hair we all wish we had.
The wig was his girlfriend, Stacy Skyberg's idea. She sent us all an email saying we want to be Jordan-esque. We want to show up in full Jordan apparel. We want to bring the spirit. So we just envisioned this whole section of the crowd wearing what Jordan wears every day.
Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life. James 1:12.
And why did you guys pick that?
I think it just spoke to a lot of what Jordan has had going on in his life. He's had to stand a lot of trials, different ones, official ones in courtrooms, and
big life first.
Yeah, it's a big life first for him.
These are my JoJo pros. Jordan was called JoJo when he was little. We all know him as JoJo. We grew up with him as cousin. I said it's the JoJo Fro. So 2012, Jordan, JoJo Fro.
With the blue eyes.
With the blue eyes and the white teeth.
Intensity.
And the smile to.
Yeah.
Yeah, here you go, JoJo Fro.
Get yours, JoJo Fro.
Love it.
He grew his hair out in prison, and through those years, just the fro became a trademark of his, and it's beautiful, and we are honoring it today, and it runs in the family.
So tell me about the first match. How did that go?
Great.
It made me very, very nervous.
Very nerve-wracking, the first match.
He's loses that first period, and then it's like anything can happen. You lose that second one, he can be one and done basically.
He actually lost the first round, which was like, okay, so now he's really has to win both rounds, and this is his very first match. He can't lose, and it was to a guy that he's lost to a couple times before. So it's very, very nerve-wracking. Second round, he was able to score a point and won that one.
Went all the way to 3 rounds and was very, very tense.
Third round comes around, and what you don't want to happen is what happens. It came down to the last 30 seconds. They had to draw the ball. He was on top, which is kind of the harder position to be in. So now he has to turn the guy. In 30 seconds, he has to pick this guy up and turn him.
And then he came through, and it was just as typical him. You can just see that determination that he's not going to be denied it.
And that's exactly what he did in kind of spectacular fashion.
Throwdown was awesome.
It was awesome. When I saw it, I was pretty excited to actually go back and tell some of his former coworkers how he kicked ass.
The guy looked like he was flailing in the air, with his arms and his legs. And I usually miss the good parts, but that part I did watch.
That was some yard slapping throwdown there. That was great.
To see him flip him in the end or get that turn in the end, it was very satisfying.
Loved it.
He's always been a wrestler.
Yeah.
And he's always been awesome. I remember we were kids and we'd say, oh, where have you been this weekend or whatever, and his mom would be like, oh yeah, he was just winning some national championship. He's in like 4th grade.
Ever since we were kids, I remember going and watching him wrestle for many, many years.
When I graduated college, he came to my college open house. You have a big open house for situation. And he was like, yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, what have you been doing this weekend? And he had just won the national championship that weekend. And that like came up later in the conversation. I'm like, I just graduated college, like everyone does every year, and you just are the best in the nation at a sport, whatever.
I had a bunch of family come together, and we were gonna curl, the sport curling. He had just gotten off the plane like minutes earlier and came to curl, and he just got off winning the Graco US Open, winning that. And so came out from winning that, came and curled, and of course wanted to win at curling. I think it was the first time he had ever curled, but he did great, of course.
I looked up some of his past wrestling accomplishments. I knew he was one not to mess with. Sometimes we kid around, and I just knew enough to leave him alone.
One time we went to a tournament, we were seeding wrestlers, and he's a returning state champ. And another coach had a really good wrestler, and he wanted to seed him number 1. And I'm saying, okay, you can have number 1, and we'll take the number 2. And our assistant coach said, what do you mean you can't do that? You know, he's a returning state champ. And I was just kind of used that. And actually, I told him that. I said they want him to be the number 2 seed. And he takes things like that and just uses them for motivation. And so it was fun. He went out there and he just kept taking the guy down over and over, and ended up tech falling him. And it was you could just see the determination on him.
Pulling for Jordan because he's had such a phenomenal storytale life.
I was just looking at his list of achievements in the little packet that they give us, and there's this extremely large gap from 2002 to 2010.
I went to prison. It was very unfortunate.
Wrongfully convicted for an incident that actually happened in this same city. So for him to be able to come back this many years later and possibly win and achieve his dream is really a pretty amazing story.
Did not allow prison to define his personality.
He would always talk about how his faith in God was getting him through.
He worked out a lot while he was in prison.
Every morning before he came into work, he would run.
How he would think about those of us who were loving him and caring for him and praying for him on the outside was really getting him through.
He played every sport that you could sign up to play.
They had their routines various times during the day. Virtually every day they lifted weights.
He's just very motivated to live a healthy lifestyle, but even more than that, be able to maximize the abilities that God has given him.
Probably the most difficult thing I bet to do while he was incarcerated was to eat fit. By the time he left, he'd been there long enough, he was probably making about 42 cents an hour. Then he would purchase stuff at the commissary, and a lot of times it was healthy stuff because that's the only way you could get it. Fruit, tuna, that was the only way they could really get protein.
Where he told me, I just was able to keep my rose-colored glasses on in there. That place didn't wreck me, and I think 6.5 years in a state penitentiary could wreck a lot of people, and he has been able to come out of it. Obviously changed, but still really the same guy.
The morning he left, I wanted him to come over and talk to me. I wanted to tell him, hey, good luck, hope all goes well with you.
We don't have too many success stories.
We don't have very many success stories, and Jordan would be one of them. I felt good being part of that.
Right when he stepped out of the doors, actually, of prison.
He called one of his former coaches. He still remembered him, and he just wanted to come out and practice. And they noticed that he hadn't really lost a lot.
18 days.
18 days after
he went to the Northern Plains Regional, and he won in Greco and freestyle, dominated both styles.
It was nice to see somebody get out that had a plan.
Just the calmness that he still has. I'm more bitter about things than I think than he is. He's at peace with everything. I'm just amazed by that.
For years to not be able to wrestle, then to come out and wrestle at this caliber is just phenomenal.
I think for Jordan, his experience there probably defined part of his life, but it did not define his entire life.
It testifies one more time to his abilities and giftings that God's given him.
Following the quarterfinals.
Second match was good. This was the guy that he had only wrestled one other time and lost to him.
And that second match was just awesome.
In the red, ladies and gentlemen, wrestling for Minnesota Storm, Jordan Holm.
Second match, he handled him handily.
Holm with 2 points.
He went out there and opened up and just got after it, kind of like the old Jordan that we always used to see.
Push out brings 1 point to Jordan Holm to lead the second period.
But it wasn't nearly as nerve-wracking. He handled it pretty good, won both the first and second match, and didn't have to wrestle the third round.
Deep down, 1 point, Jordan Holm, and Jordan Holm will go to the championship finals. 84 kilos. Affirmation Sanders. Affirmation Sanders. 3-point move.
Jordan, unbelievable. He'll know what that means.
Unbelievable. He would say that. It was just funny.
He would say it with a little more emphasis, unbelievable.
When he said it, you knew, I mean, it was just sarcasm.
As a catchphrase.
I mean, I knew none of this, but Jordan actually was a very good bookie, I guess you'd call it, in prison. Well, the day when his buddy was leaving, his buddy was giving him a whole bunch of these tokens, which that's how, kind of like money, and they went in the restroom where nobody could see them, and Jordan fumbled with all these tokens, these tickets. They all dropped on the floor. About that time, one of the CO officers just happened to walk in and heard him, caught Jordan with all these tickets. He got locked up again that time. So Jordan, you know, he wasn't just all what sometimes he appeared to be on the outside. He was a shyster too. I loved having him. It was awesome. Unbelievable.
He is one of the nicest guys. He is just a sweetheart, a loving man, and a kind man, and a faithful man.
He's passionate, puts 110% into everything he does. He loves the Lord, he loves the sport, he loves his family.
For him, he's satisfied with the crown of life that he's received with his personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And so an Olympic gold medal would just be sort of an extra blessing. It's definitely something he has as an earthly dream, but he's got a faith that kind of supersedes all of that.
You would ask Jordan, why are you such a solid person, such a confident person? The first sentence out of his mouth would be, my faith in God. And that permeates the rest of his life, all of his actions, everything I think flows from that. He's an extremely determined person. He's very rhythmical and methodical in his thinking. He's got a huge, beautiful heart. If you ever talk to the fella, his heart is huge. It's humble, and that's always attractive on anybody. He's had a lot of conflict, and what other people would use as excuses to allow it to affect their spirit, make them bitter, make them an angry person, he used that to fuel himself. He analyzes things and then puts all that energy and focus into something positive, much like Dan Gable did. And when I read in the paper in the Pioneer Press that he said he's going to pour out his whole heart on the mat this weekend and come home at peace, knowing that he gave it all, I knew that he's got a lot to pour out. He's got a lot to pour out.
It's been about a year and a half that I've known him. There isn't a lot not to like about Jordan. He's just fun to be around. He's very driven, very motivated. He's highly intelligent. He's an excellent writer.
Nobody outworked him. The whole family's like that. Maybe Justin, his older brother, started off. Some athletes, they'll go through a wall to win, and it just permeates right down the family.
He does everything he can do his part, and then he just prays about it and gives it to the Lord, and that if it is his plan for him to make the Olympic team, then nothing short of that will happen.
Just a real good guy. I mean, I enjoyed having him with me.
I guess you'd have to say Jordan is he was not your typical inmate.
He was quite a leader.
Jordan's a hard worker.
He was just a good person.
Very serious about what he does.
He was very intelligent. He's very articulate.
Very honest about what he does and says.
I could just tell he was from a good family, good people.
He represents, one of the good guys.
He was a perfect athlete and a perfect person. I mean, he'd even come over and he would babysit our kids, positive and doing the right things, and just a great leader. Always would bring other people along with him.
He has this steadfast kind of passion for God and his family and wrestling.
We're really rooting for this final match.
Tonight, he's got to win 2 out of 3. Jordan is a very stable technician, and for him to have 2 opportunities to beat a guy 2 out of 3 rounds, I'm very confident that he will be successful.
This is someone that he has wrestled with before.
If he wins this, he'll train in Europe, a couple different places. He'll be in a couple of tournaments there, and then he'll be in London in August to compete.
They've trained together and had many opportunities to see each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Just want to keep the momentum going. He looks really good today. You can tell that he is there to win it. There's no words to really describe what it would mean for him to be able to make the Olympic team and to do this. So we're just hoping and praying that he'll be victorious yet again.